Hi, welcome to A Slice of Wellbeing Pie. My name is Ashley David. I'm your host, and Exquisite Knowing is bringing you A Slice of Wellbeing Pie today. I've missed you for the last few days. It's great to see you. Well, to imagine that you're there. Thanks for tuning in. Today on Wellbeing Pie, we're going to talk about balance. Balance is always kind of hard to achieve, but particularly in times of stress and distress, crisis, any of those sorts of things, balance can just seem like balance. Yeah, I'm not even going to try. But with the tools that we've been working on, you have the power to create some balance in your life. And remember that base that is important for the helping hand of well-being. The base includes a purpose or relevance, a little bit of familiarity, and then a really important part of this is having a little sense of control. And you have that in your power. That's part of your exquisite knowing superpower, is to create that base of well-being. And from that base, you can tackle the fingers of well-being, which are physical, emotional, spiritual, intellectual. What else am I missing? Social. And then we have a sixth finger of well-being, and you get to name that whatever you want to name it. But that's the thing that you really need for your well-being, which may be represented in those other things, but is you want to call it out as something special for you. So for example, the thing I call out in my sixth finger of well-being is joy and fun. And joy and fun are really important to my sense of well-being. So I hope you have your notebook. I hope you have your notes from the last 4 sessions. The first one was KASE plus Base. So we just talked about the base. Quick review: KASE is the exquisite knowing process, and it stands for know it, apply it, sustain it, explore. Then in the second episode, we worked on the fingers of well-being and identifying those fingers of well-being and talking a little bit about what those things are. And then in the third episode, we put that all together and you made your own well-being pie. And if you have done all those things already, then you're in really great shape to participate really actively in today's Slice of Wellbeing Pie. If you haven't done those things already, that's okay too. Just wing it. Follow along, take some notes. You can go back and watch the other episodes. They're archived on the YouTube channel. And just listen for what resonates with you. Listen for what you find useful and helpful today in this moment, and then backfill the things that you need. That's totally appropriate. I don't believe that learning and empowerment happen in a straight line. I believe they happen in a spiral. To give you an old metaphor, some of you are old school and might like this metaphor. Some of you are old enough to remember, and some of you are just going to have to play along and say, okay, Ashley. But when I was a kid, we had, instead of MP3s and like Spotify and music that was streamed and all that kind of stuff, we had records, like, albums, vinyl. And we also had some record players where you could put a bunch of them on the record player. And I think that well-being and most things we do in life is kind of like, you can think of this record player. And so we're going to put the needle on the outside of this first song today, and we're all going to ride this record together. But I've got a stack of records here. So if you've been with me for all episodes, then each of those records is one of those episodes. You've got the whole stack, so you kind of know what we're doing here with a Slice of Wellbeing Pie. But if you've just joined us today and you're like, here I am, that's okay too, because you may not have ever heard of Wellbeing Pie, but you're going to ride this record with us. And by the time we get from the first song may feel a little confusing, and then the second song, you kind of know what this is, and then you start getting more and more as we go through. That's the spiral. And then if you've been with me and Wellbeing Pie for all the episodes, you can jump around on all those records during today's session and use all of them at once. And the idea is that we're all on the same record player together. We're all in this together, no matter where we are on the spiral, whether we're on the first record or the second record or all the records, whether it's confusing or feels pretty comfortable right now. All of that's fine. And I guarantee that if it feels pretty comfortable right now, at some other point it's going to feel confusing. If it feels kind of confusing to you right now, at some point it's going to feel comfortable. And it's really normal to go in and out of comfort and discomfort and confusion and confidence. That's just part of the spiral. But we're all here on this record player together, and let's make some music. I'm going to mix my metaphors up like crazy. That's just something I do. I hope that to me actually is part of fun and joy. Sort of playing around with language and playing around with metaphors is really fun for me. And my Wellbeing Pie, that 6th bit, joy and fun are super important to my well-being. So anyway, got a little off on a little tangent, but we're going to come back. So the third episode got us through. You made your own well-being pie, so you now have that in your notebook if you've already made your pie. And then our 4th episode, we tackled burning questions. We talked about what is a burning question, how are they powerful, why burning questions, and the short answer is when you ask the questions and they are personally meaningful to you, then that is a powerful place to be. Asking questions, curiosity, and then that's part of knowing it. Because when you ask the questions, then you can go off on an adventure to explore what's important to you. And then as you go off on that adventure, you can begin to apply what you learn. And as you apply what you learn, you can start to sustain your own question, your knowing and your application loop. And then once you have that down really well, exploration is sort of like second nature. And as it becomes more and more part of who you are in every single moment, then you catalyze micro empowerment. And those micro empowerments, I like to say they accrue because I just love that word. But another way to say that is they build on each other. Micro empowerments build. And as they build, you get more and more empowerment, and you can ask bigger and better questions and apply them in more interesting ways and innovate and be creative. And when you do that, the world starts to change in ways that reflect who you are and what you see and what you'd like to see. And if we're all doing that as a collectivity, then we are operating from places of our own exquisite knowing, our own superpower, but we're operating as a collectivity that moves our experience in our world to a place that represents all of us. And that to me is a really beautiful thing to ponder. I get super excited about it, actually. We tackled burning questions. What are they? What is their power? And then we talked a little bit about how to generate burning questions so that you can generate super juicy burning questions that help you explore your world in ways that represent your most authentic self and your most empowered self in this moment, and help you become more and more your authentic self and more empowered as you ask bigger and better and juicier questions. So that was slice 4. And today is slice 5. It's balance. I'm going to shift this a little bit. I was a little running around like a mad woman today, so I couldn't quite get everything set up the way I'd like to. As you know from the last broadcast, I've been a little under the weather, so I've been a little challenged. So I'm super happy to feel well enough to be here with you today. But please pardon any I don't know, flights of fancy or not quite perfect, or my hair is super wet. I just dashed out of the shower so I could be here. Okay, but here we are. And so today is the 24th of March, and it's a Tuesday? I think it's a Tuesday. It's hard to keep track sometimes, particularly now. And the why are we going to tackle balance today? And the short answer is because balance is hard, even in the best of times. Balance right now may seem to you to be impossible, and I guarantee it is not. And today we're going to work on cultivating and developing and practicing some tools that are going to help you achieve some balance in each moment and in this moment. And when we feel balanced, we feel better. Our well-being goes up. But also we're able to be there for other people better. And this is a good time to take care of yourself so that you can be there for other people. It backfires. If you try and be there for other people when you're not being in your best place, when your well-being isn't maximized, it's going to backfire. It may not backfire right now because in crises we've got adrenaline and other things that are sort of helping us out. But it's going to backfire at some point. And chances are good it'll backfire and your own well-being will be negatively impacted. And so we want to maximize our own well-being right now. And balance is hard to achieve, particularly in times of crisis or stress or distress. So that's the why of what we're doing today. The how, we're going to use your burning question. Now, if you weren't with me for the last episode to generate your burning question, we're also going to use one of mine as an example to illustrate how this works. But if you already have a burning question, or if you like to think on your feet, then go ahead and think on your feet right now and come up with a burning question that has to do with balance. Something that has to do with how are you challenged in your life right now to be balanced? Oh, but wait, I almost forgot. This is Wellbeing Pie. We're cooking up a slice, and so I need my uniform. So I'm gonna get ready for the job. All right, I just threw this in the wash, so it's all tangled up. I'm not quite sure how to put it on. It's kind of complicated. It's not really, but all right, we got it. So now I'm ready. It's time now I'm ready to make some pie. I knew something was missing. I've got my pockets, got the familiar feel of this old apron. I love this apron. I have this for a long time. My mother gave it to me for a long time ago. It makes me think of her, and I hope she's doing well. Okay, so how are we going to explore this topic today? With your burning question. You're going to use your burning question to figure out how to create some balance. So think about a burning question that has to do with balance. And I want to circle back just a little bit to the why and give you some more information about why we're doing this today. I was talking with one of the young folks I work with. She's 9. We were on the phone last night, and she said, "I saw your videos," and I said, "Well, do you have any constructive feedback?" And she said, "Well, this lizard brain thing, we don't all think in that kind of term. So maybe you might, to help make people help people be able to understand this concept, you might let them know that lizard brain is sort of like summer brain when you kind of turn your brain off." And I love that. So you can use whatever metaphor you want, but the idea is that we want to get out of the brain and the body and the mind and all the parts of us that are kind of checked out, like we might be on summer vacation, or that are kind of checked out because we're so stressed out that we're kind of going to our basest instincts. And we want to activate all the parts of us so that we can come at this moment in our most empowered way. And achieving balance in this moment is a great way to get out of that lizard brain, or out of that summer brain, as my friend says, and then to come at this with all of our powers. And as humans, we have many, many amazing powers. So your burning question is going to help us figure this out today. And then what are we going to do? We're going to create your balance plan and some strategies and tactics, things you can do that are going to help you not only achieve balance, know what balance is, apply it, and then sustain it so that you can explore all kinds of options in this moment. And that's going to set you up for moments to come. So what we're going to use today to do this is we're going to use my chart. And one of my other young folks that I work with, he's 12. I asked him for some constructive feedback last night because he said he had seen my videos too. And he confirmed that, he's like, "Yep, Ashley, I can see the glare on the board." And I can tell right now that the glare is there. So I'm going to keep working on trying to figure out the tech and nuance things on the production side of things. But I may not get to it for a while. So bear with me in this kind of low production value moment, early days of Wellbeing Pie, and we'll see what we can do. But here we are. This is my pie. This is my Wellbeing Pie that I made. And when I put the helping hand of well-being, when I took the 6 fingers and put them into my pie, they divided up in this way. Spiritual was the biggest piece. That surprised me because I don't think of myself as a very spiritual person. But when I define spiritual as being connected to the whole, the planet, the universe, when I defined it as creativity, when I defined it as nature and wilderness, and rocks and trees and animals, I realized that that is the most important thing to my well-being is that part of me and that part of the universe. And so spiritual comes in at 25% of the pie for me. That's a whole quarter. For those of you who are keeping track of my math, you know it's not very good, but I did double check to see that this adds up to 100%. So if it still doesn't, well, let me know in the comments. I'll try and do better. Okay, my 6th Finger of Wellbeing. Remember, I called it the puppy doggle in tribute to my young friends who started naming it after animals that they love. And I have a really wonderful dog named Janie. And so I called my sixth sense of well-being the puppy doggle because she just makes me happy and feel joyful, and she's really fun. And we've been together for 12 and a half years now, almost 13 years, so a long time. She's old, she's 13 and a half now, almost 14. So my sixth finger of well-being, which I haven't named here because I want you to be thinking about your own name, is the puppy doggle. It has to do with joy and fun. And that's 20% of the pie. So together, these are 55% of the pie. They're more than, they're almost 50% of the pie. Almost half of the pie has to do with spiritual well-being, and with the puppy doggle being the sixth finger of well-being for me. Also pretty big on the other side is the physical. That comes in at 18%, almost 20%. So it's almost equal to the puppy doggle, the sixth finger of well-being for me. And so those three together make up almost 3/4 of the pie. And then right behind the physical is the emotional finger of well-being at 14%. And then the intellectual finger of well-being, that slice gets 13%. And then for me, this isn't surprising because I'm an introvert. The social comes in at 10%. But notice that it's not that far behind intellectual, and it's not that far behind emotional, even though I am an introvert. And this surprised me most because I've always thought of myself as an academic and an intellectual. Books and reading and thinking have always been so important to me. So when I made my own pie of well-being, it really surprised me. And I imagine that you may find some surprises about yourself when you have to rank order those fingers of well-being and then come up with a way to put them into a pie. You may find some surprises, so I did. But the point about the pie is that you have to have the whole pie in order to have balance. Everything in the pie has to be working. So let's take an example of the best of times. So in the best of times, I'm having a normal day, and I'm going to achieve balance by starting my day off by asking the burning question, hey, it's a normal day, observation, question, what do I need to do? How can I balance my well-being pie and my day so that I have the most incredible day possible and I'm my most authentic and most empowered self? So that's my burning question on a normal day. So on a normal day, I come to my pie and I look at it and I'm like, well, whatever I do, the things I don't want to do, like maybe I have to pay bills or maybe I have to clean the bathroom. I don't like to do either of those things. Maybe I also have to work on a creative project I'm working on. I love to do that. Maybe I have to do some grocery shopping. I also love to do that because I love exploring food and then cooking. So I look at the things that are on my to-do list. That's the what. I think about the why, and the why I'm doing this is to create a life that makes sense for me, and so that I can be my best self in the world, and then not only my best self for me, but my best self for everyone and the world. And so then the how, I have to balance this. So if I'm going to work on a creative project, I know that's going to take up a lot of the pie, and that's in the spiritual and also the intellectual. It also hits some emotional stuff for me. It might hit some social stuff because as an interdisciplinary artist, I often work in the community, so I'm often working with a lot of people. I'm usually doing it in a very physical way, so maybe just my creative project is going to take on all of this, and then I usually try and make the projects fun and joyful for me and for everyone else. And so just doing my project it's gonna be pretty easy for me to balance, right? But now let's take cleaning the bathroom. I really hate to do that. I really do. So the burning question is, well, observation first. I hate when the bathroom isn't sparkly clean. It's not very hygienic if the bathroom isn't sparkly clean. It is maybe unsafe, particularly in a time like now, but we're talking about a normal day. So maybe it's unsafe. Maybe it would be embarrassing if a friend came over and saw that my bathroom wasn't clean. Those are all observations. So then I make a question in order to achieve balance, and I say, how can I deal with this task that I hate to do so that I don't feel all those observations that I just did? Because those were all bad, like I didn't feel good about any of those things. So how do I maximize my well-being? And the answer is I've got to find a way to make it fun and joyful, somehow creative or connect me to the whole. And it's got to tackle these other parts too. So I use my intellect because that's a big part of here, and I kind of think through this problem. And I'm like, well, maybe I put on some music and dance around while I clean the bathroom. That's kind of fun and joyful. Maybe I laugh at myself and say, Ashley, why do you make such a big deal of this? It takes you 15 minutes. You've spent more than 15 minutes worrying about it. Just go do it. I'm going to get pretty practical, and I give myself some straight talk so that I balance those emotions. I'm feeling all these negative emotions about something that is so small. And then I get physical, and cleaning the bathroom can be, if you do it really well, it can be a very physical act. And so I'm like, all right, that's how I achieve balance. I change the perspective, I change the way I think about it, and I do that using a burning question. And then suddenly a task that I thought was becomes a task that I can use my sense of balance, my own pie, and make it happen. Okay, so that's in normal times when things are just like, whatever, we're gonna make this work. And even in normal times, it can be really hard because maybe you have competing interests. You have a lot of people who need something from you. You don't have enough time. So you just have to take a breath, pause, and ask these questions. Make some observations, generate a burning question, think about your base, use KASE and the Fingers of Wellbeing and your own Wellbeing Pie to come up with a formula and a tactic and an action plan for how you're going to get through this. Now, that may sound like it's going to take tons of time, and it might at first take a little bit of time. But as you do this, it becomes habit, and it becomes easier and easier. Okay, learning new things when you haven't done them before, when you're in a stressful situation, is a tall order. If now, for you, is a stressful time, as it is for most people on the planet, then learning all this new stuff now might seem like, I can't do that. So all you have to do is one little part at a time. So let's take balance question for right now. So I've been pretty sick for the last couple of weeks, and that's really frustrating for me because I'm usually a very healthy person, and I do all kinds of things to keep myself healthy. And so when I got sick, that sense of control, out the door. My sense of relevance and purpose, out the door, because now I'm in quarantine, I can't go anywhere, I don't feel like moving, I'm coughing, it's really hard. So my sense of purpose, down. And then my routine, also down. I can't cook the way I cooked, I can't do the things I want to do the way I normally want to do them, so my base really got challenged. That then tanked my Fingers of Wellbeing. All of these things started making a mess, because my physical part was way out of whack. And my physical part is really close to my fun and joy part, and it's really close to, in percentage, to my emotional part. So my fun and joy, down. Had a super bad day a couple days ago. Thank goodness, though, I could activate the social part. And I reached out to some friends, and they helped. They brought me some soup, and that made me feel so much better. Just the fact that they responded so kindly. But the soup also helped my physical, and this social and physical helped the emotional. Now, since I'm an introvert, you wouldn't think that the social would be the thing that would be the kicker for me. I think I need to go over here. But I couldn't connect to the thing that was most important to me. It was so hard for me to feel connected to everything. It was so hard for me to feel creative because I was feeling really poorly. So I looked at my pie, and to achieve balance, I started leveraging the rest of the pie. And I'm like, let's see what I can mine in parts I don't normally mine. So I puzzled it out using my intellect, which is pretty comfortable for me. But then I just picked up the phone and said, guys, I'm not feeling well. I need help. And I asked the question, will you help me? And they did. And then the pie started getting better. So I made some observations. Everything I'm trying isn't working. I feel really poorly. I need help. And then I formulated a burning question. And the burning question was, I have a lot of Fingers of Wellbeing here. I have 6 full Fingers of Wellbeing. What can I tap that I haven't tapped before? What can I try that I haven't tried before? How can I connect myself to the whole a little better in a way that I don't normally do? And that led to a solution for balance for me. So let's pause for a moment. I'd like you to think about your moment right now. What feels off kilter? What feels uncomfortable? What feels out of balance? And ask yourself, a burning question about that feeling of imbalance. Make observations about your feeling of imbalance and write them down so you can look at them and you can refer to them later. And you can say, oh, I felt this way that time, and this is what I did. Those will become tools. This notebook is going to be helpful for you going forward, not just now. Think about your base. Do you have purpose and relevance? Do you have a little sense of control? Do you have a little bit of familiarity and routine? If you don't, how can you grab those? And just asking this question is helping you to get a sense of control. Asking the burning question, making the observations, that is the first step to gaining a little bit of control. It's also, if you've been with me each time or even over the course of these 25 minutes, you're starting to create a routine of using KASE and using burning questions and using this model to help you have a sense of control, have a sense of familiarity and routine. And from there, you can identify your purpose, what you need to feel relevant right now. And maybe, as was the case with me when I was feeling really poorly, my purpose was, I got to get well. My purpose needs to be right now working on myself. And for many of us right now, that is the case. Many of us need to turn inward and figure out what we need to feel our very best, most authentic and most empowered and most healthy selves so that we can be there first for ourselves and then be well enough to be there for everyone else. Then use your Fingers of Wellbeing and your Wellbeing Pie and figure out how you can achieve balance by leveraging the whole part of it. And it may be, like me, that you're stuck in your own rut, your own pattern, your own routine that isn't serving you. So reach out. Reach out to someone who helps you feel your best, most authentic self. Reach out to someone who helps challenge you to be your best, most authentic self. Reach out to someone who makes you feel good. And be honest with them about how you're feeling. And then ask the question, how can you help? And they're going to surprise you. They're going to come back with something. Or tell them, just say, I don't even know to ask that question. I just need some help. And then see what happens. You can share these tools with them, and then you can work on this together. Because remember, we are all in this together. And Wellbeing Pie is all about getting out of your lizard brain and into your authentic I. The Slice of Wellbeing Pie today was brought to you by Exquisite Knowing. My name is Ashley David. It was great to see you. Thanks for joining me. You can do things like subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Leave me some comments. Leave me some questions of your own, and I'll answer them in another installment. So take very good care, and I'm gonna, do my best to turn this off as soon as possible. But to your well-being, take care. Oh, still taking time.